Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 128 of the Everything Moto Racing podcast. I'm back, as always, as every week. You just can't get rid of me, to be honest. But for some reason, this week, I've managed to get rid of Cameron and Lauren, who's still finding herself in Thailand, doing whatever she does.
Still finding herself.
Yeah, doing whatever that means. But yes, so I'm joined by a new person this time, Tyson. Hello, how you doing?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Yeah, going good.
All the way from the other side of the planet, I'm assuming. Australia, New Zealand, which side?
Got the island here, mate. Gotta love Australia.
Nice. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you ever go to Phillip Island at all?
Yeah, I went to the 22 race.
Oh, epic. Was that the one when Marquez... No, it wasn't Vinales and Marquez, was it? That was 2019.
Nah, that was Rins.
God, that was Rins. Oh, that was an epic race.
Crazy race.
You got to see that live?
Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Jeez. Oh, I'm jealous, honestly. Phillip Island is on the bucket list because that is just a sensational track.
You got to go.
Yeah, so before we obviously head into the podcast, people don't really know you, so I'll ask you a few questions and people can start to get to know you. So firstly, I think the best way to go into it is, how did you get into MotoGP? Like, when did you start watching it?
Yeah, so my family's watched it pretty much all of my life, and the year that Casey Stoner won his last championship is really when I started getting into it. A lot of hype in Australia when Casey was going well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was sort of me hooked, seeing an Aussie at the top.
Yeah. How does it compare to Jack Miller these days, Casey? Because obviously Casey was a champion, where obviously Jack isn't.
That's a hard topic.
One of the top guys.
That's a hard one to talk about right now. But no, we love Jack here. We love Jack. He's an idol. Look, I've got mates who have raced against him up at the Brisbane Cup, and he's just, for the community, he's so amazing. He's such a good figure for the country and really good for getting young fellas into racing. So it's a hard one to look at right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Thankfully, you've got a lot of young guns coming up. Joel Kelso, you've got obviously Jacob Rulestone, who did an exceptional race in Qatar, 10th place. Yeah, he's looking really good. I remember back in the day when he was with Leopard and he ended up winning, like, I think it was the first round of the season in the ETC. And he's kind of, I've followed him a few years now. He's a good lad. Like, I think I mentioned it last time when he was in the paddock and gave like his racing CV of all of his achievements to all the commentators and stuff like that.
He's a hard worker, man. Not a lot of people talk about it, but he's a 3-time Australian dirt track champion.
I didn't know that myself.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented.
Yeah, he seems it genuinely.
He's been kicking it since he was really young, and is just crazy talented.
And obviously he's going to a track this weekend that he knows now in Portimao. He didn't even know Qatar, still finished 10th.
I do think he's going to struggle a bit more this weekend, but no, he's going to go really well for a rookie, I reckon. Top rookie,
especially with the GasGas squad as well. Yeah, not biased at all. Yeah, and so who is your favourite rider then? I'm assuming maybe Jack Miller or Casey Stoner or someone, or have you got a different allegiance?
Brad Binder's, I think, the best rider in the paddock. Just
solid, yeah.
Incredible style, but also just an incredible person. So, that goes a long way.
Yeah, I think everybody loves a bit of Brad Binder.
Yeah, got to love him.
Well, I got a question for you then, because Cameron said last weekend that if there's anybody on that grid that can finish second in every race, it's Brad Binder.
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, it's Brad. He's just that one... he's one step away from being able to win everything, and I think that step's probably just a Ducati. But
honestly, I would not want to see him on a Ducati.
Just be dominant.
He would
be insane.
Yeah, for the rest of everybody in MotoGP, we don't want to see Brad and Ducati.
Cal was scared about Mark showing up on a Ducati, but Brad's the worry.
Honestly, yeah. I've said it for a few years. Like, I would love to see Brad on a Ducati. It won't happen because he's so. Like, if you cut him open, he bleeds orange.
Absolutely.
He's KTM through and through now. He owes his entire career for KTM, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think that one day I think after this contract, I think he's going to spread his wings a bit.
That's funny because his Red Bull gives you wings. It's ironic. Yeah, maybe. We never know. I think that's a good segue, I guess, into contracts.
Yeah, big topic this week.
Yeah, big topic today, at the day of recording, with a surprise. I didn't expect it to be announced so early, to be honest, but Fermin Aldeguer has been confirmed to move up to MotoGP on a 2+2 deal with Ducati. So for the next 2025 and 2026, he will be in a Ducati team. Hasn't been confirmed which team, but he's on a Ducati contract.
You got to assume it's Pramac, though.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
I don't think he'd fit into VR46. And
no, I don't.
There's too many other big ticket riders at Gresini right now. So,
yeah, that's true. I mean, it's interesting though because Jorge Martin's the one that expected to leave Pramac. And obviously, if you looked at Pramac and you're like someone to leave, you'd automatically go, well, Franco seems like the logical one. But it'll be more than likely Jorge Martin who has said publicly that if he doesn't get into the factory Ducati squad next year, then he'll be looking elsewhere.
The worry is, where's he going to go?
This is my thoughts, because Aprilia have now been the first kind of factory or team to confirm their interest in Fabio Quartararo. Jorge Martin for years has hinted at Yamaha. Years. 3 or 4 years now, he has hinted at that Yamaha.
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe
it's
Yamaha?
not the time. It's really not a good time to go to Yamaha. Even if VR46 ended up swapping over to Yamaha, it's still not right. And I think we'd see a talent get really squashed. We just wouldn't get to see the glory years of Jorge Martin, and that would be a loss.
We're already missing out on the glory years of Fabio Quartararo.
That's also true, but if rumors are to be believed, it might not be for too long.
I genuinely do hope he gets out of Yamaha, Fabio, because he's just too good to be sat on a backmarker bike. Rins, it's okay because he's an older rider, he's more experienced. He's achieved a lot. I don't take this lightly. Don't think he's ever got it in him to be a champion.
No.
But Fabio has already demonstrated at a young age he can be a champion.
And he doesn't need the best bike to do that either. The Yamaha hasn't been good for a long time, and he still won on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even like he did it on a Ducati, which many people seem to tear down Pecco Bagnaia for only doing it on the best bike. You know, taking talent and chucking it out the window, which is obviously not true because he's absolutely an incredible rider.
If that were the case, then what we saw in Qatar at the main race wouldn't have happened. He wouldn't have been that dominant. So that's something you got to take with a grain of salt, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is interesting though that Ducati have signed Fermin so early and announced it so early. I guess swooping in before they can get anybody else on the bike, but
I expected the contract to be signed early, but
yeah,
to go public with it was a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I just did not see it coming whatsoever. I think because he's not even... Yeah, he's done exceptionally well last year in Moto2. 5 race wins, for example. 3rd in the championship. This year, we're 1 race in. He's finished 16th. And they've already put him up and gone, yeah, you're in MotoGP now.
I think there was a big gold star next to him when he looked so dominant next to Pedro Acosta. I think that made him shine a lot in everyone's eyes, and I don't think he's really ready. I think another year in Moto2 wouldn't hurt him.
It depends on the Pirellis, because it seems to have tipped it on its head in Moto2, and the guys that you're expecting to be at the front aren't at the front, and the guys who aren't at the front, who you don't expect to be at the front, are at the front, and you have to be a lot more conservative in Moto2 now. You can't just send it from lap 1 like you used to be able to with the Dunlops, because your tyres will shred themselves and will destroy themselves, and by the end of the race, you will be losing time, and I think that's what happened with Canet, Fermin, Arbolino. Vietti managed to save some for the end of the race after struggling and made his way up, I think, to 9th from 17th.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
But that's exactly why I think another year in Moto2 would be good for him, because we've seen the Michelins deteriorate under the front load pressure of that aero. So it's going to be a good apprenticeship for him.
Yeah, and Fermin's not a bad rider. We know that. It doesn't take a genius to work that out. And he's been on that speed up. This is his 4th year now on that speed up bike. So he knows it pretty well. And I think for a rider who has that experience already, it bodes well for the future. He was third last year in the world. And I think it's fantastic that Ducati have signed him as an 18-year-old kid on a 4-year contract, pretty much 2+2.
It's
great. Will he do the whole Pedro Costa thing when he steps into MotoGP?
No.
We don't know.
I can't see that happening. I think he'll need a bit more time to adjust because he's not that natural born freak of a talent like Pedro Costa is. But my biggest fear about Fermin getting signed so early is if he doesn't win the championship, who's the other rider that's getting booted?
Yeah, because theoretically, Fermin could not win the championship. He could finish 7th. He could finish 12th this year.
Yeah.
And still have a MotoGP contract. That depends on the clauses of his contract, of course, because he might have a clause that says we can rescind your contract if you don't finish at least top 3 in the championship this year, for example. But, he could have a horrendous year and still move up to MotoGP, whereas another rider, and they could only be, because the last 2 years of MotoGP, only one rookie has stepped up into the Premier class, Augusto Fernandez, and then Pedro Costa.
Yep.
And if again we see a situation where it's only one rookie going up and it's Fermin, and he's not won the championship, and there's a deserving champion in that class that should go up, who doesn't get to go up, that's going to cause a bit of a kerfuffle as well.
I don't want to relate motorcycle racing to car racing, but we've seen this happen in Formula One. The last, I think, 3 Formula 2 champions haven't stepped up. There hasn't been a seat for them.
Yeah, not in the first year anyway, because Oscar eventually got it, Piastri. Yeah. But yeah, was it Theo? What's his name? He was the F2 champion last year. The French guy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Pouchet?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was Pouchet, and then the guy before it was Djokovic.
Yeah.
His name? And, they didn't get to move up, and we don't want that for MotoGP. I think
absolutely,
if you win that championship fair and square, you should get the chance to step up. Obviously, if you choose to stay in Moto2, you can. In F2, it's a bit different, where if you win that championship, you have to leave the class. You can't just continue and defend your number 1 plate.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're talking quite objectively, but it's so hard to get a seat in MotoGP these days.
I don't know why, though. There are a few riders who are year after year aren't showing that they need to keep the seat. Of course, they have glimpses of talent coming through and one-off victories here and there, but with so much talent coming through, like Moto2 is not the most stacked at the moment, but with so much talent coming through, there sort of needs to be a changing of the guard soon. Otherwise, we will have that F2 problem. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I do genuinely think Fermin's got everything it takes to go and win the championship this year by a landslide, may I add, because the way he rode the end of last year was incredible. It was nothing short of, sensational. Absolutely. He won, I think it was 4 races in a row.
Yeah, it was record-breaking. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But that was on Dunlops.
Yeah, and he won. So he won the last 4 races with 2 podiums prior to that. He won in Qatar, and yet was 16th this time out. And it's been 1 race. I'm very aware of that. And he went from 8th or 9th in the championship to 3rd. And it's only been 1 race, but we can only judge on what we've already seen, which is that he hasn't been able to, in the similar conditions, because Qatar last year was a lot later in the year, so it's hard. You can't really judge last year's Qatar race to this year's Qatar race because the race was held at a completely different time of the year. The tyre temperatures were different, the track temperature was different, even the wind was different, everything was different.
Yeah.
But they're on Pirellis now as well. I think this weekend he'll probably shut us up, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he won the race this weekend. Genuinely. I've got him. Oh no, Cameron's got him to win. Cameron's got him to win this weekend. He's very, very good at Portimao. Portimao is the track where in the European Championship, he just was absolutely sensational. I remember him battling Alonso Lopez, and it was just unbelievable to watch at that race. But then, he knows Portimao well, and he's always gone quite well around there.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
think this weekend we'll see.
He wasn't far off the top fellas last year.
No, he's only fifth, wasn't he? I think
yeah.
Fifth? Or am I wrong?
No,
I think I know. Yeah, I've got 13th here for some reason. Oh, that's practice is fifth.
Oh, whoops.
There we go. Let's have a look. Moto 2 race. Yeah, he was 13th.
13th. Oh, yeah, it's not horrible.
It's better than 16th in Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think, though, having that knowledge that you are in MotoGP next year will allow him to just focus at the job in hand. And I do genuinely believe he's got a strong shot at the title this year. He's still a title favourite. Yeah, but my concern is more about the fact that they've signed him so early when you just don't know, do you?
There's a couple of people who could step up, like Aldeguer, for example.
Yeah,
that's bound to happen. But if Marcos Ramirez or Sergio Garcia win the championship, someone's got to move aside, and it's obviously not going to be Jorge Martin because he's already stepped aside for Fermin Aldeguer. Potentially, theoretically.
Yeah, or Lopez. I mean, it must be hurtful as Lopez to see your teammate go up to MotoGP and you're still sat in Moto2.
Leading the championship.
Yeah.
He should replace Fabio Quartararo at Yamaha.
Lopez?
Yeah, he would fit that Yamaha brilliantly.
Well, there was talks that him and Manuel Gonzalez were going to step up with it was rubbished by everybody, but I think it was motorsport.com made an article that said that Lopez and Manu were going to step up to MotoGP on a satellite Yamaha thing, and then Lopez got a marker out and signed his Yamaha MX bike and was like, "This is the only Yamaha I've signed."
Yeah,
for kind of thing.
I saw that. Yeah, his riding style's just he looks a lot to me like 2019 Quartararo when he rides that Moto2 bike.
Like smooth.
Yeah. I think he would fit that perfectly, especially if they go the direction that Alex Rins will bring the bike, I think.
Yeah, you make a good point. I think Rins is the key that Yamaha need, and it will take some time and take some investment by Yamaha to get them in the right direction, steering in that right direction, but Rins is definitely the man for the job.
Absolutely. I think he really was the master of the inline four of recent years.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, to be honest. Rins, on that Suzuki, the last few races, we just saw the incredible. It was absolutely unbelievable, wasn't he?
He was untouchable.
Yeah.
And if he can get that Yamaha. Yeah. if he can get that Yamaha anywhere close to what the Suzuki was doing, then I don't know.
Because in Qatar, he was only 7 seconds behind his teammate Fabio in the race.
But did you see his comments? 11th.
No, I didn't actually.
I probably couldn't find it quickly for you, but he was commenting on how he couldn't feel the front tire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's
interesting.
It's a worry. If
there we go.
Straight off the bat, he's going worse than he expected, then might be a longer road than we expect to get Yamaha back to the top.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so Rinza said that there are positive things, but so the actual quote is that we suffered a lot in this race. We tried to do our best, and honestly, I was going from the bottom to the top, improving my lap by lap. I was feeling better until I got into the top 11, behind Fabio, behind Zarco, said the Yamaha rider, who then reported having a lot of problems on the right-hand side of the tyre due to deterioration of the rear tyre. After 6 laps and until the end, I couldn't hold the bike. The right-hand side of the tyre was destroyed, and I started to lose a lot of seconds because in the right-hand corners, I couldn't get the angle. So, I mean, again, that's more of a tyre wear issue, and I think Valentino Rossi, for years when he was on the Yamaha, complained about rear grip. So did Vinales. Fabio's issue is the acceleration of the bike. So if Rins is struggling with the rear grip, it tells me that issue is still there and has never really been fixed.
And Fabio wanting more top speed is just going to worsen that problem.
Yeah, it will, because it'll put obviously heat the tire up even more at higher speed, meaning that you're going to have more deterioration of the tire by the end of the race. And it's a tricky situation for Yamaha to try and figure out. And I think having only 2 bikes on the grid definitely makes that not infinitely, but twice as hard as, say, Honda, because they've got 2 extra bikes and extra data and things like that. Thankfully, though, as we know, Alex Rins is very good at what he does, and I think he will be able to steer the Yamaha in the right direction, because he's more, I think I said this in the last podcast, he's more mentally in a stage of his career where he can give Yamaha that time now.
Yeah,
whereas
absolutely.
Fabio is in his glory years and is chasing silverware and needs to leave to chase that silverware. Maybe he can come back one day and help develop the Yamaha into the race winning machine again. Whereas Rins has already had that silverware and is now at a place where he can then go and develop a bike into being a race winner again.
Hopefully they have actually changed, as everyone's suggesting, and they'll start listening to the riders.
Yeah, we hope, because
hopefully.
It seems for years they never listened. That's why Vinales had his whole kick-off, isn't it? Because they never listened to what he said.
And they had Dovey riding in the, what was it called, SRT at the time, and
yeah.
they didn't listen to Dovey of all people. You know,
No,
you don't get much more
exactly.
experience than Dovey.
Yeah, exactly. He won the Ducati, and he was run up to Marquez 3 times in a row.
and you wouldn't listen to him, so hopefully they've changed.
Yeah, we hope. But I do think that if Fabio does move to Aprilia, as the reports are suggesting, that could be really good.
That could be scary good. That could, because the Aprilia is already capable of winning even without a top tier rider. Not to take anything away from Vinales or Aleix, but
yeah,
they're not a gold star like a Quartararo.
They're like a B tier rider. You got your A tier, your Marquez, your obviously Francesco Bagnaia, your Jorge Martin. You know, those type of Pedro's kind of teetering on the edge of that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that kind of level. And then you got your B tier riders, which used to be Vinales, but I think he's been relegated down to a B tier rider now.
He's like C tier. He's done.
Jesus.
Hot take, but
yeah. But you know, Aleix is exceptionally talented. But yeah, a B tier rider, and he's winning races and doing exceptionally well on that Aprilia. He was on the podium in the sprint race in Qatar, for example. He probably could have done the same in the main race, but I think his tyres went as well. He definitely had an issue, at least, that meant that he couldn't actually fight for the podium. So if you get Fabio on
those random little hiccups, like Raul's bike having that error and Aleix's tyres randomly cooking, I don't know how Fabio will react to that.
No.
If he crashes his bike, which is not a prolific crasher, but if he crashes his bike and it goes up in flames, I don't know.
Yeah, because he'll be escaping one nightmare into another. I think the Aprilia's issue is maybe more of its consistency.
Yeah.
Because at some tracks it turns up and it's very good and it's nearly untouchable. You know, Catalunya last year, Silverstone, it's always very good, especially with the Aleix on board. It works perfectly, and other times it's an average bike. It's a mid-pack bike. Whereas Ducati can perform everywhere. Doesn't matter what track you're on.
Just imagine Quartararo on an Aprilia in Qatar, in Catalunya, sorry. And
because he loves Catalunya. Yeah, he'd be very good at Catalunya on that Aprilia. But but Ducati's good everywhere. The KTM is good. Is getting there. I think by the end of the year, or even now, I think this year, we'll probably start to see the KTM go toe-to-toe with Ducati a bit more, especially with Brad Binder at the reins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aprilia is about 85% there, I'd say. 85% of the tracks we go to, Aprilia can be there.
Yeah, I think that's about fair.
But then it's just the issues of consistency with the bikes and with the riders as well, because as you know, Vinales, if everything isn't perfect, whether it be the temperature of the blimmin' cereal, the milk that he has in his cereal that morning, to what sock he put on that morning, to obviously how the bike is on the track. If his day isn't absolutely perfect, he's just not going to win a race.
He had another kid over the off season, didn't he? Or just before the off season?
I think so. Yeah, he's got a few little kids
They
running
say
around now these days.
Each kid takes a second or something.
Yeah, something like that. They've said a lot of people have said after Jack Miller has had his kid that he's just kind of.
Yeah, like being so far away from them, like and all of his family, it's very different for Australians over in Europe.
Takes a toll.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think does his wife live in Europe with him? I think.
Yeah, so they've got a home in Andorra.
Right. Yes, they do. Yeah.
They're also always traveling back to Australia as much as they can. So.
Yeah, which definitely takes a toll on everybody involved there.
Especially with a baby, bugger that.
Yeah, screw that. But, like Vinales, he got 3 podiums in the main race last year. Second in Catalunya, second in the opening round of the season, and then Indonesia as well, he stood on the podium. Year before that, 3 podiums again. He's not won since Qatar 2021 on the Yamaha.
Yeah, that says a lot.
Yeah, exactly. In 2.5 seasons on the Aprilia, he's had 6 podiums.
For someone who was meant to have so much talent when he stepped up to the class, he's had his time.
Oh, God. Honest to God, like, for me, Vinales is one of the biggest disappointments because I remember watching him in Moto 3 and he was exceptional, apart from the odd, hissy fit here and there. Well, in Moto 3, he got on the 125, he was 3rd as a rookie. He won his 4th ever Grand Prix. Then the year after, despite walking out of a team halfway through the year and massive inconsistency throughout it, missing Sepang completely because he just walked out and got plane home. 3rd overall. Then Moto 3 2013, he won the championship at the last corner of the season.
Pretty incredible.
Unbelievable. And then he moves to Moto 2. Just 1 year and is 3rd in the world behind an absolutely untouchable Marc VDS duo of Mika Kallio and Tito Rabat, Tito Rabat was just a god that year.
He's another big disappointment, but
yeah, he is. But then he goes on to Suzuki. Very solid rookie year, and then again 4th in the world in his second year on Suzuki, including a race win. Hops on the Yamaha, wins his opening 2 races, and we're like, Marc Marquez, mate, you're done. You're done, Marc. It's done. It's time over. And then that was it. Yeah. He won the opening 2 races and didn't win again until Australia 2018. Oh, no, he didn't. No, he won in Le Mans and then didn't win until Australia 2018. So a year and a half without a victory, and that's it. Yeah, like his career since then has just never got anywhere near that.
I don't know what the initial catalyst was to send it all downhill, but you're right. He is probably the biggest disappointment. So much promise just gone.
He shouldn't have left Suzuki.
Yeah, well, imagine how he would have reacted when Suzuki left him.
True. I think, but I genuinely, and I know obviously we're going a bit off topic, if he had stayed at Suzuki, he would have been a champion.
Oh.
I'm almost certain of it. Oh. If Mir could win that championship in 2020, Vinales, at his peak, demolished everybody.
Yeah, he could have also had a Rins of a season, though, in 2020. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
I think...
I just don't know.
Mir had a very strange season in 2020. And I think he had the most consistent and least strange season, and that's why he became champion. Not taking away from his championship, but I think that's a very specific way to win a championship that I don't know if it could have been replicated by another Suzuki rider.
Think it was Mir's to lose because he got his first podium that year, of course, and he was just doing as best as he could, and it seemed like nobody wanted to win the championship that year. Absolutely nobody. And obviously Ray just walked out and went, all right, I'll take it then. No one else wants it. I'll have it then.
I feel like that was Dovy's to lose. I feel like Dovey should have won that.
That was Dovy's best chance of his entire career to win a MotoGP title.
But hey, he's still got in the Hall of Fame, so it's all right.
Yeah, he's a legend, so it's fine. But yeah, it's so obviously steering back to Fabio on that Aprilia. I would like to see him next to Aleix, because Aleix's experience on the bike and his knowledge of the Aprilia, because he's been ridden that Aprilia since I think it's third year in the class. So Aleix has been on that Aprilia. Where on earth is his name? There it is. So Aleix has ridden that Aprilia since 2017. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8 season. He's on his 8th Aprilia season now. And he's got, I think, another one next year. I can't remember if this is his last year. No, I think this is his last year in his contract. So he's got 8 seasons under his belt on that Aprilia. He knows that bike inside out. He knows everything about that bike and how it works, which is why he's successful on it. Obviously, his talent comes into play as well. Then you have a rider who is that desperate, hungry to win as Fabio, on a solid package as well of the Aprilia. And I think you've got a combination that really can be a force. And I think Fabio having Aleix there, because Aleix's best interest is Aprilia. He loves Aprilia. He adores them. Like, the way he talks about Aprilia is like, well, the way he talks about his wife, I guess. He absolutely loves it. And so he would want nothing more than to step aside as the number 1 rider and let Fabio take those reins of winning the races. Obviously, Aleix wants to win them for himself, but I think that Fabio coming in and doing that for Aprilia, Aleix would be overjoyed seeing Aprilia rise to the top with a rider as hungry as Fabio probably is. He's not tasted that champagne and winning champagne in years now. Far too long. Yeah, when was the last time he won? I think it was Catalunya 2022. Let's have a look. Oh no, it was Sachsenring. He did win Catalunya 2022, but then he won Sachsenring straight after that. And that's the last time he's won a race.
Aprilia have made noise that they'd like an Italian rider, though.
They have.
And Aleix to test rider role, Fabio Quartararo alongside maybe an Enea or a...
Enea has been linked to Aprilia.
Because that'd be pretty crazy to see.
Yeah, because, well, if Jorge Martin goes to Factory Ducati, Enea jumps ship to Aprilia, and suddenly you've got Fabio and Enea as teammates.
That's an all-star. That's crazy, that lineup.
Yeah, that's wild.
I'd love to see Bezzecchi on an Aprilia. He
nearly signed for Aprilia a few years ago, you know.
It comes a little bit full circle with VR46 because of Rossi's early days of Aprilia.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, Bezzecchi was heavily linked to Aprilia back when he was in Moto2 with the VR, but then obviously he went up with Valentino Rossi's team anyway, so nothing really changed there, but I remember that.
I don't see a home for Bezzecchi at Ducati, really. There's too many other good riders, but
yeah,
Aprilia.
That's it. Because again, he struggled at Qatar. We can't really... obviously we've talked about Fermin earlier and Fermin not doing well at Qatar. Qatar is not really a race we can...
Yeah, it's an odd one.
Use to judge riders at. Yeah, it's kind of like an odd track where you will see riders do exceptionally well that don't normally do very well. The amount of times in Moto2, like Tetsuya Nagashima.
That was crazy.
He won and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, see you later then. So you can't judge Qatar really very well, and obviously Bezzecchi is not liking that GP23 at all.
He's going to have an AO year. It's going to be really hard to watch.
Yeah, because he, on that 22, the way he rode the bike was with the rear engine braking, and he used engine braking a lot to slow the bike down and lay it into the corners, and that's how he rode. But the GP23 is the complete opposite, which is probably where Enea Bastianini had the same issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Switching from 22 to 23, it's now just passed on to Bezzecchi. And the 24, however, has done the flip side again and is now really good for that engine braking into a corner.
He'll be kicking himself really hard, I think, this time of year.
And you got to be, if I was Bezzecchi, I'd be a bit annoyed if they put Fermin Aldeguer into Pramac when Bezzecchi was doing as well as he did last year.
Yeah.
And he's on a year-old bike.
Where else does he go, though? Where else does Fermin land? Do you swap Frankie and Bezzecchi?
You swap Marc Marquez with Frankie. Put Marquez on a current bike in Pramac, because then he can retain Red Bull, and then put Frankie in VR46.
But that brings the same problem as Jorge Martin winning the championship last year. You can't have all the pictures go out of a satellite bike with the championship.
That's true. That is true, because I'm thinking Fermin and Frankie in VR46, and then Bezzecchi and Marc in Pramac. But again, if that happens, and a satellite wins the championship, it's a dilemma for Ducati.
It's got to be the red bike that wins. It has to be.
Yeah. And there is also talk, we'll go on to that, of Marc Marquez joining the factory Ducati squad, which has been backed by Gigi Dall'Igna. And I'm like, that would be great. But Marc Marquez's deal with Red Bull, he's had since 2007.
Yeah, but we've seen other big riders jump ship. It's maybe not to that scale, but
yeah,
that's pretty huge.
The only thing I can think of, though, is because Marquez's manager, it has ties to Red Bull as well. And so, like, yeah, riders do change. I mean, Antonio Caroli switched from Red Bull to Monster recently, and that he was with Red Bull well over a decade. Honestly, like maybe 15 years he was with Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I mean, I saw Ken Roxon put on Instagram the other week or a few months ago, that he is like one of the oldest Red Bull athletes. Like, he's been there since day one. And he even said on the comments, someone was like, would you ever switch to Monster? And he was like, no. And someone's like, well, what if they put a lot of more money in front of you? And then they go, maybe. So
yeah, there it is. Money talks.
Yeah. But then again, I'm like, Marquez has enough money.
Well, I heard that he's not getting paid by Gresini this year. It's just from personal sponsors or something like that. So
I think that's the way. Yeah, because there was a whole kind of thing about it. Let's have a look. Gresini salary, because I want to be right. I don't want to. Salary, because, yeah, I did hear that as well. There we go. So Marc Marquez is getting paid by Gresini. Let's have a look. So he won't be riding. He's not riding for free from Gresini. He did obviously take a pay cut, but let's have a look. But he said, next year I'll still be super happy with what I get. So we know he'll get personal sponsored money anyway. Alpine Stars pay him like $2 million a year to wear their suits. Shoei pay him about $1 million a year to wear their suits. Red Bull pay him probably about $3 million a year. Then he's got the other sponsors on his chest. I can't even remember any of them. Allianz is one. He's got Samsung pay him probably disgusting amounts of money. He probably earns on personal sponsors alone probably about 20, maybe 10 to 20 million euros this year alone. I mean, he got given an Audi RS6 the other day.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and Alex got the RS4. Oh, pain.
Poor Alex.
Yeah, but, you know, so Audi now, I said Aldi then. Audi now sponsor Marc as well. So he's not short on cash.
And that would solve this Ducati salary cut that they're planning on doing. There's been a number of places saying that Pecco's around the €7 million a year at the moment.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Ducati won't have to pay him that much if he's got all that personal sponsor money.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it's an interesting one because he'll get $7 million a year. I guarantee you he'll get probably another $7 million for winning the title. I think Stoner got 3.5 million from Ducati for winning the championship, and then got 4.8 or something like that for winning with Honda. So he'll get another fat bonus as well. Like, Pecco's not short on cash.
Oh god, no.
For sure.
No, he'll fund that wedding just fine.
Oh god, yeah, Jesus. But yes, but I do wonder if Marquez would be loyal to Red Bull or not, because it's a problem with having Monster Energy as a sponsor in your team, you can only attract riders who are happy to who either currently have currently have Monster, don't have a sponsor, or are willing to change. Jorge Martin, I think, would change from Red Bull despite having them since 2014 and then kind of backed his whole career. He wouldn't be here without Red Bull because of the Red Bull rookies and things like that. That quite literally saved his career.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I don't know. Marquez and the factory Ducati in red is quite a spicy and quite a nice kind of thought.
It's a very good thought. It's a bit scary, but it's a good thought.
Yeah, it is. It is. But then Francesco Guidotti, Mr. GasGas KTM, Red Bull, GasGas KTM, basically the manager of KTM, but obviously he also has a choice over GasGas as well, has basically said, and I quote, "Acosta we already have, so we start with a good advantage on the decisions that have to be made. I don't deny that I'd like Marquez too. Having both would be a great coupe, but I think Marc wants to play his cards on Ducati." So, Marquez on a KTM, a GasGas, shall we say?
I mean, it is a current spec bike, just without the factory team in there. So maybe if it performs well enough this year, it might be enough to bring Marc across.
Because Brad Binder's style is very similar to Marc's. The late braking, hard braking, force it into a corner. Whereas the Ducati's the opposite, where you have to be smooth with it. You have to, you can't just crank open the gas and expect it to do what you want. You have to feather it in and be slow to be fast. What is it? Slow in, fast out.
Yep.
Whereas the KTM, you can kind of send it a bit.
How's Marc going to go unlearning the style of the Honda to learn the Ducati and then unlearning that to learn the KTM? That's...
Yeah.
At his age, I know he's like the craziest rider to ever live who can adapt to pretty much anything. He could win on a unicycle, but changing that many times at his age now seems a bit risky.
Yeah, it's risky enough going from Honda that he's known for 12 or 11 years. And we've seen with riders where it can destroy you. Ralph Fernandez, for example, has been like the biggest prospect in MotoGP since Maverick Vinales, I would say. Obviously, Pedro's kind of eclipsed the pair of them. But but Ralph Fernandez went from a Moto3 KT... went from Moto3 Aspar. We could take it a year back further, I think, actually. He went from a Mahindra Moto3 bike with Aspar to we went KTM, then Mahindra, KTM again with Aspar, then a KTM Moto3 bike with the IO squad, then a KTM Moto2 bike, a Kalex Moto2 bike, then a KTM RC16, and now the Aprilia. That's in 9 seasons. He's ridden 7 different motorbikes.
And people wonder why he isn't at the top yet. He hasn't had the chance to develop that consistency.
Yeah, I think this is the first year since he was with the IO Moto3 squad that he's had a second year on the same bike.
And he's already quick.
He's already very fast. He did have some issues, I think, didn't he, in the main race? And he had to pull in.
Yeah.
Obviously, he did have his little hissy fit on the grid as well.
Apparently, it was his second bike, so it wouldn't have been set up perfectly for the race.
No, it wouldn't. No. So he did look very good in the Qatar test. I think Portimao, he'll look quite good. But Raul's an interesting one. Very, very, very interesting one, because could he get himself a shot in the factory squad if he can pull off a good year this year?
Not yet. I think Trackhouse are willing to invest a lot into him. I think he's the sort of gold star rider that Trackhouse need to just keep him up there for now. And then, I think maybe 26 or even at the rule change in 27, we might see a swap for him. But I think Trackhouse would be willing to pay good coin to keep a good rider like him around.
I got a question for you. As an Aussie, should Remy have stayed over Raul?
No. Remy is so much happier in World Superbikes, and that's
true.
It was killing us to watch Remy in GP. He was so miserable.
Did you see? I think it was a podcast he did. I can't remember who it was recently, where he just slated the MotoGP bikes completely.
Yeah,
he just rinsed them.
Yeah, those boys get the honest truth out of the riders, and yeah, Remy's not one to hold his tongue. You know,
He's
Remy's
not.
a very honest guy.
That's probably why, because there was a lot of issues in KTM, wasn't there, because of his kind of attitude, they said, which is why they kicked him out.
He said on that podcast you mentioned that he and Rao were going to KTM to ask for help because the team was such a mess.
Whoa,
Yeah, that's
insane.
Big shout to make.
Yeah, that's a huge. What podcast was it? Just so we can credit it.
I believe it was Motorsport Republica.
I think it was. You're right. Motorsport Republica. I'll just double check it.
Those boys better give me the F1 shirt for giving them the shout out.
Nice. Let's have a look. Remy Gardner. I'll just double check it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it was Motorsport Republica. Yeah, that was. I saw a few clips of it. It looked really good. I actually do want to listen to that episode, but
those boys do a good job.
Yeah, they seem like they do, genuinely. And obviously they had Remy on. Remy's class act in general. So, but it's the fact that he was just so like, my World Superbike bike looks so much better than that. You know, that KTM MotoGP bike because of the wings. It's very old school as Remy though.
Yeah, he is. He's had a bit of a rough start to the year, but he'll get there. We love Remy.
Yeah, I think that podium's on the cards for him. Genuinely,
I reckon a win is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it later with the World Superbike testing, but
Yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, because we need to talk about that a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we can hop into it now. I've genuinely not followed it.
Oh man.
So you can update me on this.
Remy, the reason I think Remy's got a win in it this year is because he's just focused on race pace this test.
Okay.
Did you watch the Australia round?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah, he looked epic there. He looked really strong.
He got so unlucky. He got Axel Bassani took him out of the first race. Fun fact, his brother put up a video slating Bassani for that on his Instagram, and Remy shared it. So I think there's a bit of a grudge there.
Oh, nice.
He was super competitive in the sprint. Super competitive. He was right up there. And then he ran over a part of Johnny Ray's bike after the crash.
Yeah.
Popped his tire, had to start at the back. And he still got around a lot of really talented riders. I mean, just saying, he got around 2 BSB champions.
I was shouting for him to get the podium. Yeah, you did do that. I was like, come on, Remy, because I was like, he's gonna get a podium, man.
Yeah, he's got it in him. I think Remy's a very emotional person as well, and I think he's really starting to gel with his team, and I think he's really starting to gel with the bike. And now that that's all clicking together, I think it's going to really come together. As he said, I don't think the championship's this year, but maybe next year or the one after. So
that's good. That's very good. It's good to hear. Yeah, I've got the results here now for the test. I'll send them to you so you can have a look as well. So 52 bikes in total are listed on this. Obviously, there was a multitude of people who were on, who tested kind of multiple times, but Remy was 13th overall. I think his best time came in as and that was 0.8 off of Aldeguer, who was trying for a fast lap Aldeguer. And if you're saying that Remy was just focused on race pace,
Remy also stated that he couldn't stick together a whole fast lap. So considering
that's even better.
He's up there.
Yeah, he looks strong this year. Remy does.
He does, but he does need that extra year. Like he said that himself. But Aldeguer, oh my God, Aldeguer.
He's unbelievable. Like, where did it come from?
He left. I think Aldeguer got replaced when he left Moto 2. I think Aliens took him or something and replaced him because he is a different Aldeguer.
Yeah, he is superb.
Winning on his debut. That's who was the last person to do that?
Good question.
I think he was the first rookie from World Supersport to win on debut.
I think so. Let's have a look. So I'll just check because I can't remember because there are a few wild cards back in the day at Donington Park that did it. Let's have a look. So, Aldeguer set numerous records in his first day as a World Superbike rider. Now, World Superbike winner, he leads the championship for the first time, becoming just the third Italian to win at Phillip Island after Max Biaggi and Marco Melandri. He's the fifth rider to win the first race of Ducati after Doug Poland, John Kosinski, Anthony Gobert, which is quite nice because he's obviously Australian as well. And Alvaro Bautista achieved it on the first. And in terms of being a winner in Supersport and Superbike, he's the 11th rider to win in both. Is he only the second rider in history to win a World Supersport Championship, then lead a World Superbike Championship? In Imola 2004, Vermeulen was briefly ahead, but he's the only one to have done it. There's also another win on the 11th at Ducati Phillip Island after the factory Ducati of Troy Corsa in 1999's Epic Race 2 with teammate Carl Fogarty. Doesn't answer the question of like winning on debut, but still.
It's good to know that Vermeulen was up there in the record books.
Yeah, I love Chris Vermeulen. He's a legend. He's such a nice guy as well. Isn't he doing a Superbike coverage this year, ASBK?
Yeah, he's doing ASBK coverage. It's awesome to see him around. And his sister Renita's doing a lot for the sport as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's heavily involved in the dirt bike scene here.
Yeah, because your flat track scene is huge over there. Like most riders come from flat track, really.
Yep. Yeah, we're big on dirt because there's so much of it here. But
because
it's from where I live to get to the closest track is like a 5-hour drive. So
Jesus,
so it's a lot easier to ride around on the dirt.
Yeah, because I know that Billy Van Aert's over are doing dirt now instead of tarmac.
Yeah,
a
lot of riders go there.
Yeah, because it's different. Because obviously in the UK, the kids just come up through the Fab Championship, which is just mini motos. Because you've got a mini moto karting track very close to wherever you are. So kids just go and ride mini motos there, and then come up through that. But
there's someone doing stuff with ovales down in Melbourne. Joel Kelso's been training down there in the off season.
Yeah, because isn't Wayne Maxwell the Ovale dealer guy there?
Yeah, Wayne's doing it.
That's it. Yeah, because he's like there. Because I think it was Peter Hickman here for a little while. But yeah, Wayne does stuff over there, and obviously Joel went and trained with them and all that as well on the Ovales. But those Ovales are really good for kids.
Yeah, they're awesome. I want to get one.
Yeah, they're like 7K GBP as well. It's crazy.
Oh, that's like 20 billion Australian though. So.
Yeah, something like that. Your currency's weird. I don't understand it.
Neither do we. Don't worry.
No, Jesus.
Top rack. Top rack.
I was just about to say top rack. Bloody hell. 0.027. It was tight of a top, and then the rest. Petrucci was third, like nearly half a second back.
What's with these old Italian fellas just coming in and taking the reins? I mean, Bautista did it first, and now Petrucci's stepping
Spanish,
up. Oh, wow, that was but Iannone.
Yes, Iannone. I mean, Iannone is superb as we know anyway. But
4 years.
4 years off is a podium.
Yeah. It's
unbelievable.
He's crazy. These old fellas stepping into World Superbikes, and I've talked to a few people, and they say, "Oh, that just shows that it's not the same level." But it's just the talent of these riders.
Yeah, it is. Like, I reckon most riders on that grid could do a very good job in MotoGP. I mean, Sam Lowe's multiple race winner in Moto2.
Yeah.
Very, very good job of 8th in the test. And I think he could win a race this year. But it's not like he's just walked in there and just rinsed everybody. Yeah. No, I think he's the most successful British rider in the Moto2, that is. Excluding 250s, just Moto2. I think he's the most successful British rider.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and so then to walk into Superbike and be 8th, very good, but not destroying Top Rack, Petrucci, Iannone, Locatelli, Rea. That shows a lot as well.
Absolutely. The field in World Superbikes is absolutely stacked. And
it's unbelievable, isn't it?
I think the age of these guys who are still so fast doesn't say that the field's slow. It means that these guys are just so ridiculously talented. And compared to the others that are so ridiculously talented, it's hard to see it.
Yeah, and it's a shame that Bautista was so heavily injured when he raced at Sepang last year in MotoGP.
Yeah.
Because I really would have liked to have seen and been able to make that comparison between the two of them, and about how Superbike, how the reigning world champion and Superbike can do in MotoGP and how that compares. But because he was just destroyed, because I think he'd broken his vertebrae and stuff like that,
Something crazy.
And he was just hiding it and then racing with broken vertebrae. Like,
I'm surprised he got declared fit, to be honest.
Well, then you say that, but then Marc Marquez got declared fit with half an arm, didn't he, back in Jerez 2020?
That's true, but it's Marc Marquez. I feel like he's got a pull like Valentino Rossi. He says, "I want to race a race."
Yeah. Because they were struggling probably with money, ticket sales, and stuff like that. So, like, right, if we can get Marquez on the track, at least people will watch.
Yeah, that's it. Toprak is someone I'd love to see on a GP bike.
On a Ducati specifically, maybe, or KTM. A KTM, I think, would suit him well.
The KTM would be incredible. The way he maneuvers a bike around is just insane.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a rider ride as well as Toprak.
I've been talking to a lot of people who ride ASBK wildcards and that sort of thing, and they think that Toprak's probably the most naturally gifted rider on the world right now.
I'd agree. Wholeheartedly would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. He's something beyond comprehension at the moment. Yeah. And as long as that bike doesn't blow up, I think he's in with a chance.
Yeah, genuinely. I mean, he did crash in the test, but that was just try and fix the engine braking because the rear locked and it was slid and then it just knocked him off basically. But the bike has a lot of potential, that BMW. He's got the top speed now that he wanted from the Yamaha. And this weekend they're at Catalunya, which is a good track for Toprak. And I think he could go all the way. I think World Superbike this year as well is so varied. The last few years it's been the top three. It's been either your Redding, then your Toprak, then your Raya in whatever order. Then it was changed to Alvaro Bautista, Toprak, and Raya in whatever order. This year, I don't see that happening. I can't see it. I think it's going to be so mixed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the cream will rise to the top, and I think Toprak can do it.
I don't think Catalunya will suit the BMW, but I think Toprak will ride around that.
The Catalunya suits a Ducati by a mile. I think Ducati is where Catalunya's Ducati's track, because they always do well. They had a 1-2-3 there multiple times. Rinaldi, Bassani, and Bautista, and I think it happened again with Redding as well. The other year, it happens a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he stacks up against the other BMWs.
Yeah, I think he's gonna blow them out the water. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Interestingly, after the testing, I haven't seen any comments, and I tried having a good look this morning. I haven't seen any comments from Redding.
He's a bit stum this year, isn't he? He's a bit quiet.
I think his mind's elsewhere.
Maybe.
He got demoted.
He did.
And he's also a bit of an emotional guy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've Googled his name. There's nothing. Let's have a look. News. No. Oh, Van der Mark said some stuff about him. This is going to be interesting. I've never seen this. Michael Van der Mark takes aim at Scott Redding. It's just disrespectful. Wants to put everything on Instagram to show who's best.
That was at the test, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
first
funny.
Test.
Oh, yeah. I love Van der Mark. He's so funny.
He's awesome. I just wish he was on a more competitive bike.
Yeah, because when he left Yamaha, I was gutted. He didn't really leave Yamaha. He got pushed aside, didn't he, really?
Yeah. But
I feel like I could tell you.
Imagine if he jumped on a Ducati. I mean, he's a big guy.
As well.
He's a big guy. So it might not suit him the same way it suits the little fellas. But just imagine him on something like that. It'd be incredible to watch.
Yeah, I think he's the same as Alex Rins, though. I think where he's achieved a lot in his career, and he's now on the path of, I'm going to make some money for retirement now,
Yeah.
and develop a bike instead.
I saw that Rory Skinner got given a BMW of his choosing for riding with BMW and BSB. So imagine what those boys get in World Superbikes.
Oh God, yeah, they get some crazy stuff. Because I think there's a video of Van der Mark in a, I don't know cars, but it was in it said 750 horsepower BMW, and he was doing donuts in it. I was just like, what the hell?
That's good advertisement.
Oh God, yeah, they get a lot. BMW, they do look after their riders quite well.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah.
For Rory Skinner to step into BSB and just get given a car is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think he's not the factory squad, but it is high up. It used to be the factory squad, the TAS racing team, but now it's FHO.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's because FHO has an Aussie, so they know that they're better.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. But yeah, I am looking forward to Superbikes this weekend. I hope Jonathan Rea can do a bit better.
I'm worried about him.
Me too, genuinely. Like, I know it's only been one race, and yes, it's Phillip Island, but he did win last year at Phillip Island on the Kawasaki.
Last year was a clean sweep from Bautista, wasn't it?
Was it? It may have been the year before then. Let's have a look. I could be completely wrong. I'm happy to accept that if I am wrong. Let's have a look. I can't remember when his last win was. I was certain his last win was at... Let's have a look. Phillip Island. Oh, yeah, he's seconds. When the hell did he win a race? Oh, it was at Most. I'm thinking of the year before. Jesus. Yeah, I'm thinking of the year before that when he won.
Right.
But
last year was a bit of a write-off. Bautista won it before he stepped on the bike. So
pretty much. Yeah, unbelievable what he managed to do. But I'm a little bit worried about Jonathan Rea. I think they are at Catalunya this weekend, which is a good track for Johnny Rea. He got a podium there last year, did retire at race 2, but then got 5th.
It's also a good track for Kawasaki, though, which could have contributed to that a lot.
The Kawasaki looks good with Alex Lowe's on it this year.
Alex Lowe's looks terrifyingly fast.
That overtake on Álvaro Bautista was insane.
I screamed and woke my child up when that happened. It was so worth it. That overtake of the year already.
Yeah, like around the outside at top of Lukey Heights. What the hell?
It's terrifying. Look, at Phillip Island, on the southern end of Phillip Island, you get so much sea breeze coming onto the track. So going offline there, anything can happen.
Yeah, you're blown off the track.
It's just there's salt, there's sand, there's everything around Phillip Island. If going offline would have been terrifying, and to carry that much corner speed around Bautista of all people,
it takes some balls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it takes some balls. Jesus.
He's one to keep an eye on.
100%. We'll move on to Portimao MotoGP and the other classes, and then we'll do our predictions at the same time. I mean, me and Cameron have already done ours. I've asked Lauren for hers, but she's too busy. So I haven't heard from her, but we'll get yours. But we'll do those in a little bit. So heading into Moto 3 for Portimao, expecting a little bit more from... What's his name? Ivan Ortola. If I finally remember his name.
He'll come good this race, I think.
Yeah, because
super unlucky in Qatar.
Unbelievably unlucky, and he looked really good in Qatar.
To fight back to what 9th or 8th?
9th, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's incredible what he managed to do. So if he could do that there, he can do it again.
The MTA squad last year were pissed off because he was swapping to the same bike in a different team. This is why he did it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because it's a lot of people say, I'm not going to name the riders, but I was speaking to one the other day about riders and teams and how they're different to one another. It's the same bike, but the team makes the difference. And
absolutely.
David Salvador, for example, when he made his first few races in Moto 3, Well, he tested for the Leopard squad and was in the top 3. Then he got on the Max Racing Husqvarna and was nearly on the podium. Then he steps on the CIP bike and he's struggling the whole year. Now he's in World Supersport 300.
Yeah, it's really sad that, but you're right. The team absolutely makes a difference. I mean, look at what's his name? That's bad of me. He's last year's MotoGP Rookie of the Year. But
Fernandez, Augusto Fernandez.
Yeah, that's him.
The Vart VDS tiers.
Yeah, that as soon as he swapped teams, there he was on it.
Yeah. It was like he went from Pons, where he was superb and looked like he'd win the championship as a rookie, to then 2 horrendous years at Mark VDS on the Red Bull. Yeah, on it, champion. Yeah, crazy. But in Moto3, David Alonso looks like he's going to be a threat this weekend.
Yeah, he's it's because it was the first race of last year. I don't know what to expect of him this time around. Yeah, he's still getting used to the class last year. Yeah.
Was now he can absolutely send it. I think it was Holgado who won there last year, and obviously he was on the podium in Qatar.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look. I can't find the race results. Here we go. Moto3 race. Daniel Holgado, David Munoz, and then Morera, then Rueda on his debut. So Rueda looks like he's going to be strong.
Yeah. And he was also unlucky in Qatar, so he's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's got a point to prove. But Daniel Holgado, I think, is probably where the money's at, potentially. I've put him for the race win this weekend, to be fair.
Yeah, okay. I think he'll be up there, but I think there are a couple of others who have a bit more to prove.
Yeah, there's definitely riders who want to make a say and stamp their authority. Colin Vire will be one of those, 100%.
He'll be up there, absolutely.
Yeah.
Joel Kelso is going to want some revenge after what happened at the end of his race last year, after running into the back of Holgado.
Oh, God, yeah. That was horrific.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
He's going to want to make some better memories there, so
yeah, he will.
He's going to keep an eye on.
And he loves Portimao. I remember he won his first Junior World Championship race at Portimao.
Yeah.
He loves the place. So Kelso is definitely one to look out for this weekend on the Bow bike. And then the rookies, you cannot discount them because they've been racing there in the Red Bull Rookies and in the Junior World Championship. So your Jacob Rulstone, he's been riding the championship. He rode both championships last year on a KTM. Obviously not the same KTM because it's a different spec. And then Joel Esteban's ridden it as well. Piqueras knows it. Luca Netta knows it.
Last year.
Sorry?
Piqueras was really on it last year. So
he was sensational there last year.
Piqueras is one that's going to be up there, I think.
Yeah, give him just a few more races to get used to the class and the level. And he'll do an Alonso, I think.
Just while we're on the topic of Portimao quickly, I want to know your opinion about why it's still on the calendar. I mean,
yeah, because the MotoGP race is... Yeah,
it almost ruined Frankie's life. And it's ruined Carlos Tatai. Yeah, Martin. But Tatai is the big one, you know.
Tatai is a massive one, yeah. Obviously, for context, Tatai is paralysed after crashing at turn 1. Yeah.
He's now racing go-karts, though, so that's...
Yeah, he is. He's loving it, to be fair. But I don't know, because it is a scary track. It's a cool track to watch. The MotoGP races aren't necessarily the most fun to watch, but it is a good track. But it's just very dangerous, it seems.
Yeah, it's written off 2 riders' careers in the last couple of years.
Yeah, destroyed Paul, didn't it? Broke his back.
It's a bad record to have.
It's a horrendous record to have. You make a very good point. It's a very good point. I've not even thought about that. I guess because they've got a contract.
I mean,
it's the only thing I can think of.
But if Rory Skinner taught us nothing else, contracts don't matter. So
that is true. That is true. I think it's because of the fact that it's Portimao. You got the up and down nature of it, and it's a fan favorite. It's a favorite of the riders who ride there because of how fun it is to ride.
Yeah,
and I guess they're all willing to risk the danger of it, because it can happen at any track, I guess, and any track like Austria, for example.
Another scary one.
Yeah, and that turn 2, technically 3, there was no runoff there at all, and you're coming off 180, 190 mile an hour straight with a kink in it. And if you crash there, you're hitting that wall. Thankfully, no one did. And Austria has seen its fair share of pretty horrific smashes, and it's still there.
I mean,
I think it's just down to riders.
Was it Binder and Lowe's last year?
Binder and Lowe's?
In Moto 2, one of them came off in the kink.
I think so. Yeah, there's been a lot of crashes there. I remember when Sam Lowe's lost control and smashed into Chantra and all that. Obviously, when Rossi and all that, and Vinales very nearly got absolutely murked. Then Vinales had to jump off his bike a few years later as well, or the same year, thinking about it. It's had its fair share of chaos, but sadly in these type of things, in motorsport and in MotoGP, nothing happens until the worst thing that can happen happens, and then something's done. Yeah,
that we still race at tracks that riders have passed away, but that's part of the sport. I agree.
But yeah, it's a valid point about the safety of the track. I think there needs to be maybe a bit more done in terms of air fences, and runoff areas need to be maybe extended a little bit, because Paul nearly was game over because he nearly got hit by his bike.
Yep.
Jorge Martin obviously had that crash as well. I think that's just a track of, because of the undulations and things, they only emphasise it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Top Brack has smashed into the wall as well because his front fender destroyed itself and went under his tyre as well.
Yep.
The other year in Superbikes. It is an inherently dangerous track. I think it's one of the most dangerous tracks on the calendar.
Has to be.
Yeah, easily has to be. And I guess it's just a risk of riding motorcycles very fast.
Yeah, there is always that risk. It's just that too many too quickly,
Yeah, it is a good point. I think until something seriously happens, I genuinely don't think anything will be done, which sounds terrible, but
probably not. But that's just the nature of the beast, isn't it?
That is indeed. Right, before moving to Moto 2, can I take your predictions for Moto 3, starting with pole position, please?
I got the home hero, Joel Kelso.
Nice. I like that one a lot.
He's so good in his one-lap pace, and he can do it by himself, so I think he'll go good here.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Right, and third place, please.
Holgado.
It's interesting that you've got him third. Me and Cameron have got him first, so that's an interesting one. Who have you got second?
The last lap champion, Alonso.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now this is the interesting one. Who have you got to win?
I think Ortola's got too much to prove not to take it.
Do you think he's hungry after last time?
Oh yeah. This is his year.
Do you think he can go all the way?
Yeah, I reckon this is his year. Yeah.
Jesus. He does look good. He's got that backing from Lando Norris as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's between him and Alonso this year. So.
Solid. Do you not think Holgado can do it?
No.
Because he stayed in Moto 3 because he tested the Moto 3 bike and was like, it's that good. I can win a championship on it.
Yeah. I'm a big Dennis Onchu fan. And last year, Dennis Onchu said after one of the races that Danny Holgado was effed in the head. So I'm going to take his word on it.
I'm not surprised Onshu said something like that, because that's very Dennis Onshu.
Yeah, so I'm going to take his word on it because I like Onshu.
Yeah, Onshu's a little hero, to be honest. He's great.
He is.
Right, moving to Moto 2. So, Pirelli's have obviously played a big part in Qatar, with Fermin Aldeguer 16th, Tony Arbolino 20th, Philip Salac 21st. You've got Vietti in 9th, but he was up and then he was down. And you've got big names, obviously nowhere near. Aaron Canet was leading, looking like he could win his first race, and then finished in 10th place. And then you had riders who you don't normally expect to be up there, like your Barry Baltus, like your Sergio Garcia, who's got the talent to be there, but obviously was not a podium contender last year. Marcos Ramirez, Joe Roberts, Albert Arenas. We're all there. Qatar's a weird track. We know this. Will we see more of what we saw at the end of 2023 this weekend? Or is it going to be a roll of the dice of what the hell's going to happen?
I think it's going to be quite similar to Qatar.
Do you?
Yeah. I think that I think the Pirelli switch is going to take the big teams a little bit longer to get it together. And I think we're going to see some of those other riders, similar to the ones we saw at the top of Qatar, taking advantage of that.
Okay. So to kind of continue on that, I'm looking at the testing results from Moto2 at Portimao, and it's not showing me the full results. That's great. That's just lovely. Thanks for that, Donna, and your great website. Let's have a look.
Can't make it too easy for you.
Nope. Let's try this again. Oh, did they not test at Portimao? I'm sure they tested at Portimao.
They did, but it might have been
I think it might have been a private test, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a good point. Let's have a look. Right. I'm only finding them from last year. But yeah, Portimao, there we go. So, pre-season testing at Portimao, final. It was Manuel Gonzalez in first, but then it was much of the normality of Aaron Canet, then Tony Arbolino. Senna Aegis was sixth. That's impressive. Senna Aegis has been sensational the last few years as well, hasn't he?
He's incredible. He's our next big thing.
Yeah, and he's got a brilliant helmet design as well.
Oh, it's so good. It's the best.
So nice. I talk to the guy who painted it sometimes, and he's an Aussie as well. But normally it's your Starline designers or your Dave designs. This guy's just like a regular guy who does the helmet paintings, but not for obviously big stars apart from Senna Aegis.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, that's quite cool that he's kind of kept the same designer still. I like that. But
Senna's a really grounded guy, so he is.
Yeah, he's cool. He's switched on.
Very.
Definitely very switched on. But yeah, in the testing though, Vietti was 16th, but then Garcia was 14th. Barry Baltas was 12th.
Yeah, okay.
So I think it's a case of just putting all the names in a hat, shaking it up, and seeing who gets pulled out first at this rate.
Look, you could be right there.
Yeah, this is interesting. Because Manu looks good.
Manu does. I think he's done the right thing by jumping ship.
I do as well.
I think it's a more put together team, and obviously it's a good line into MotoGP. But I don't know if it'll click in the first year for them to be up there.
Because Goscinny has never really been that Moto2 team that's like, yeah, we're going to win a championship. They've had very good riders. Sam Lowe's looked very good on it a few years ago and fought for the championship. Fabio Quartararo won on it, of course.
Yeah, Quartararo looked really good on it.
Yeah, but
he was
they've never really been able to... Yeah, 100%. But they've never been able to like have that full tilt of a title in Moto2. I think back in the day it was Tony Elias that managed to win it for them back when he was on the... Oh, what's it called? The Moriwaki. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. But, yeah, they've never really... Like, they had Salac and Zaccone, and they were nowhere in 2022. Then they had, obviously, Salac and Alcoba, mid-pack. Then before that, Bullager and Digi was 5th, and Bullager was 20th. Year prior, Bullager and Ponza were both 20th and 26th. Year prior, Sam Lowe 16th.
Ooh.
Then 13th with Jorge Navarro, 14th with Jorge Navarro. Sam Lowe's was 5th back in 2016, and that's when they were like in their prime. You know, Sam Lowe's back in 2016, yeah, like I said, was 5th. Then 2014, Javier Simeon and Mattia Pessini. Again, nowhere. They've never been a title fighter team, ever.
But now they've got 2 world champions.
But now they have 2 very strong rivals. I don't think Alcoba's a champ. He's a European Moto3 champ, which weirdly does count, but then doesn't count. Sorry?
Alcoba's at Mastercam now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yes, you're right. Sorry, I'm an idiot. They do have 2 world champions. I'm sorry.
You're right.
It's nearly 10 p.m. now. I'm tired. But at 10 p.m. here, yeah, they do have 2 world champions. Very sorry. Yeah, they do. And that could be what they need.
Yeah, they've got the lineup. I think they need a year to sort of figure each other out and get the dynamic. Just because Gresini's got a North Star lineup now. It's big for them. So I think Gresini can match them, and they can keep with Gresini, and then next year they'll be on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. Because it's a very well set up team, as we've seen in MotoGP. They can win races in MotoGP, and Nea Bastianini proved that. So did Fabio Quartararo. There's no reason why they can't do the same in Moto2, and they've got 2 exceptionally talented riders, 2 world champions. Manu is a very good rider, as we know. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting this weekend, though, in Portimao, because in testing, the results are pretty much the opposite of what we saw in Qatar.
Yeah.
Which just doesn't make sense. So it's going to be very... But the only consistency, really, is Manu and Marcos Ramirez and Joe Roberts as well. And Ben Schneider, Agura was 10th, but it was a lot higher up in the test. In the race, sorry, at Qatar. So it's going to be a weird one, I think.
Yeah, it's as we all know, it's hard to take much away from testing, but it might be. I think it might be more of a glimpse into next year rather than this year.
Yeah. I think it will take a little bit longer for these Pirellis to really bed in, and them to have enough data from each track to really utilize it and then excel and find where the Pirellis work best and what setup works best for each track. And it is a learning curve for everybody. Yeah. So I think this year will be a very interesting year for Moto2.
All your KTM group teams with the WP suspension, they've got a whole other job to do. So it's I think it's going to be a very topsy-turvy year.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be very interesting to see, especially like you said with the WP suspension. The way that will work with the Pirellis will be different to how the Olin suspension on the Kalex will work with the Pirellis. And again, it might be that KTM go, you know what, WP's not as good. We should probably switch back to Olin's. Or it could be the best thing ever and everybody will switch to WP next year.
I think KTM make too much money by advertising WP to get rid of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. They don't. They hate even using Kalex. They want to use a KTM chassis, but it's just not as competitive as they need it to be. And when they do have a KTM chassis, they're taking way too much attention away from the MotoGP product and their project, which is where the money's at and where they want to be winning. They can win Moto2 championships as a KTM with a Kalex, and they're happy with that.
They won't this year, but yeah.
No. Yeah, definitely not this year. Maybe next year with Dennis Onshu, though.
Yeah, Onshu will be up there soon.
Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, Vinny.
So, yeah. So, Moto2 pole position, please.
I got one Garcia.
Garcia, nice. I like that one.
I like him on the Bosco. He's quick.
He's good. He is rapid. I'll see the podium last year quickly as well because I'm intrigued. Because obviously it was a season opener, so the conditions are quite similar now. So it was, and obviously the tyres are different, so it's quite hard to kind of correlate back to last year. But it was Acosta, Canet, Arbolino, Salic, and then Manu Gonzalez in his favourite P5. So it's kind of similar. Arbolino's going to be the wild card this year. He's either going to do really well this weekend, or just nowhere. In testing, he was good. But then Qatar, he was nowhere. So with that, who are you going for third?
Third, I'm going for Lopez.
Nice.
Lopez. Okay. I think that Bosco is gonna soar for everyone who isn't Fermin Aldeguer.
God. Yeah, because it was 3 Boscos in the top 4 at Qatar.
Yeah, but Aldeguer, I think you guys mentioned it last week on the podcast. Aldeguer said that the Bosco's very much like the Cadillacs now.
Yeah, they're very similar. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's there's no reason for them to not be up the top, but
yeah, that's very true. It's a good point. Okay, so second place. Have I done third? Yeah.
The pole man Garcia
Nice.
stay up there.
Nice. And who's gonna win?
Marcos Ramirez is going to win it.
Wow, that is a shout. What makes you say that?
I saw a bit of promise in him in the Qatar round, and I think if he can keep that momentum going, especially from last year, I think
the podium.
I think he can start getting the ball rolling this early on.
Yeah, and really get up there. He does look really good. And that American racing team looks dialed in this year.
Yeah.
And they've got
my
two
comments
riders.
about American racing team.
Yeah. Probably.
Marcos Ramirez is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I do like Marcos Ramirez. Joe Roberts is all right as well.
Yeah, Marcos Ramirez is good.
Yeah, fair enough. Right, and then heading into MotoGP, of course, the main show as it is. So last year in the sprint, it was Bagnaia, then Martin, then Marc Marquez, of course, for season opening race. Is that going to swap around again, and will it be Martin winning this weekend?
I think Martin will be up there, but I don't think he's going to win it. I think I'm worried that he's going to try and do what Pecco did at the start of Qatar and just lunge for the lead and try and hold it. And I think in that sort of seeing red state, he's going to make a couple of mistakes.
Seeing red, quite literally.
Yeah, he'll be seeing red disappears for a lot of the season on a Sunday. I think Pecco's just got that Sunday race dialed in.
So will it be more of the same with Martin win on Saturday, Pecco win on Sunday?
I think that's our season, really.
I hope not.
I really hope not, but I think that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, because Pecco did win the race there last year ahead of Vinales and Bezzecchi.
He also won the sprint.
He did, ahead of Jorge Martin.
He was incredible last year.
And the bike's only got better, but Jorge Martin is on the same bike.
Yeah. And it did take him a little bit to get dialed in at the start of last year. Marquez, trying to kill him probably didn't help, but
yeah, true.
But I think he's going to be him and Anea are going to follow that Ducati trend of struggle for the first couple of rounds to try and get that set up right, and then they'll take it running.
Yeah, but by that time, Pecco will have run off because that bike is built for Pecco as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be very similar to how Marc was at the Honda. It's built for Marc, so he's just going to win everything on it. And
that seems to be the way it goes these days. Fabio Quartararo had the Yamaha built for him, and he won the championship for them.
Yeah,
but
it's still built for him, and now where is it?
True. The KTMs did look good as well. 6th and 7th in the main race.
Don't forget how fast Jack was last year.
Yeah, he was 4th in the sprint as well.
He was so fast.
Yeah, he looked quick. And now with the KTM in a much better place now, I wouldn't be surprised to see them on the podium. Maybe even scrap for the win with Brad Binder.
Jack has to do that. That's mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah. He at least has to keep Acosta behind. At least Fernandez. At least.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Because Miller knows Acosta is tooted for a seat. Acosta's got, I think, a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Or maybe a 2-year deal. I think it's a 1-year deal. KTM will be trying to get Acosta on that factory bike if he's going to do as well as what he has been doing. Yeah. Or they could just use him as a GasGas wheel to pedal the GasGas brand instead. But
he'd
probably rather be... Yeah, he'd rather be in the factory team than the Tech 3 team, that's for sure.
Yeah. And, well, speaking of him and Tech 3, Remy also made some comments about that on a podcast.
Did he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said, because Remy and Pedro are very good friends.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
He said that Pedro's going to give Hervé quite the headache. Yeah.
Not surprised. Not Hervé, Pedro, and is like a PR person's nightmare because he just talks without filtering it out. Like
he's very honest, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and I kind of like it. MotoGP needs that with Pecco being so PR trained and all the other guys. They don't want to talk their mind, but Pedro's just like, yeah, whatever.
We need to bring back Jack Miller calling Neil Hodgkinson a wanker on the grid.
Oh, yeah. You're a bit of a wanker, aren't you? That was so weird. Yeah, back in the day. But yeah, it's going to be good. I think last year was literally in the main race, Ducati, Aprilia, Ducati.
Yeah.
I don't think that'll happen this year. I think we'll see a KTM in there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we'll see an Aprilia up there.
No. Maybe at the hands of Oliveira if he can sort it out because home advantage.
Yeah. And he did win on the Tech 3 bike, which should have been impossible. So
yeah, exactly. And he's on the 24 bike now, so he's on the same as the factory boys. And as we know, Aleix was very good in that main race. He got a podium in the sprint. Vinales, we don't talk about. No, he got. he was 10th in the main race and 9th in the sprint.
And the Petronas SRT RNF Trackhouse Racing team, it has a lot of experience together, so they should be clicking by now.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Because it's most of Razlan's initial team still.
Yeah, they've pretty much kept most of the staff, but you've got like Wilco Zeelenberg and all that still at the helm. You've got, of course, Davide Brivio.
That's big. That's
massive.
If that can't fix Oliveira's drought, then nothing can.
Yeah, because it's been a while since he's had a dry win, hasn't it? I think it was 2019. He had a dry win. No, it'd have been Catalunya. 2021.
Was that not?
Been his...
Oh no, yeah, sorry, yeah. That I think. Sounds about
Catalunya
right.
2021. Then he won 2 wet races in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think KTM will be on fire, but it will be the usual 2 suspects of Bagnaia and Martin. Marc Marquez.
He's going to be up there.
Thinking?
He's going to be really up there.
Can he win?
Yeah, he can.
Really?
I mean, the fact that he did that with the Honda last year.
3rd in the sprint, yeah.
On a track where you've got to push the front so hard, if he can do that with the Honda, then I think he'll walk off into the sunset with this one.
That's interesting.
Think about where all the other Hondas were last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, nowhere, right?
Apart from Mark, obviously.
Yeah, but the bike was built around Mark, but if Mark couldn't even ride that at the Saxon ring, but he could pull that off at Portimao.
That's a good point. That is a good point. And Kota as well, similar. He had a nice comeback at Kota, to be fair. Think about it. Yeah. Is a Pedro Acosta a podium happening?
No, not yet. Not yet. That kid is something special, but not yet.
Not yet. Fair enough.
He's got to do his apprenticeship still.
Yeah, he is still learning. Right. And he's got to fix those tyres and not let them burn themselves out as well.
I get why he did that.
Yeah, you want to push. You're pushing past everyone. You're like, yeah, let's go. And it was only at the end of the race, and he's like, crap.
It's so much more valuable fighting with the guys at the front than Mir.
Yeah, that's it. He'd probably learn more in those 20 laps than he has done for his entire career.
Yeah. I think if Brad and Jack were in front of him, then maybe he could have podiumed maybe this race or the next race because he'd be watching how the KTM works. But fighting with the fast boys is going to teach him how to ride fast. Yeah,
absolutely it will. And how to outride your opponents on different bikes. Because you got to remember, in Moto 3, they're all the same KTMs. In Moto 2, they're all the same Kalex Moto 2s. In MotoGP, it's different. They've got Ducatis with very good straight line speed that might be able to brake a bit later than you on the KTM. So then it's like, how then are you going to utilize your KTM's power and extra horsepower and exit speed from the corners and aggressive rider style to then beat the Ducatis?
I think
he's got to learn that.
Jack crashing out was probably the worst thing that could have happened to Pedro, I think.
Yeah, because he lost out on some experience there.
Yeah. But no, his time will come. I think I think the fan base has to be really patient with Pedro.
Yeah, because impatience will just destroy his career.
Yeah, and he already knows that he's under more pressure than any other factory rider. He said that himself, but
yeah,
there's a point where the voices get too loud, I think. So I think we've got to be patient with him.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Right, shall I take your predictions then?
All right. For the pole, I got Martin because he's just
pole hound.
He's insanely fast over one lap.
Yeah, he's untouchable, really.
Yeah,
and this. Sorry, carry on.
No, it's just a track that he's got a lot to prove at, I think, after last year.
Yeah, God, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and the fact that he hates it because of that crash he had the other year as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot to prove to himself, a lot to prove to the records, and I think he'll be bloody quick.
Yeah, he really will be. Honestly, I'm quite excited for it. Okay, and in the sprint race, please.
So I'm going to go back on what I said before about Martin winning every sprint race and say that Binder's going to win it.
Okay, nice. I like it. I'm not complaining. He got a lot of sprint wins last year, to be fair to him.
Was it three sprint wins last year?
Yeah, and it was kind of early on, wasn't it? Because he won in Argentina in the sprint. And then he won... Yeah, it was crazy. And then he won in Jerez in the sprint. And that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Bugger.
Fair play. Okay, well then.
I think will be up there for the sprint.
Okay. And what about third place in the main race?
Also Binder.
Okay, nice. We like it.
It's got to be Mr. Consistency this year.
Yeah, we like that. We like that from Brad. That's how you win a title, after all.
Yep. Ask Mir.
Yep, exactly. And second place?
Pecco.
Okay.
Just Pecco.
Just behind
Marc Marquez.
Damn. Okay.
I think Mark's going to get him off the last corner. You remember that when Alex was still on the LCR bike and he and Mark had that scrap? I think it's going to be that with Pecco and Mark this year.
That'd be insane for the win as well.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing to watch. I think it's free to watch in the UK this weekend as well.
Oh, wow. Rub it in.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it'd be a good race weekend. I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah. I hope that Pecco doesn't take losing in Portimao like Toprak did last year, where it's just obliterated his visor. But,
yeah. Fingers crossed. Jesus Christ, we don't need any of that.
No, I think Pecco's calm enough to take a second place.
Yeah, he's smart enough and calm enough to just accept when not to push and when to push, and I think that's why he's such a dominant champion in the last 2 years. Because
I do think though that with Coda coming up straight after this, I think it's going to scare Pecco a bit if Mark wins it.
Yeah, it will, because it's like, oh, he can do this then. He's got it in him.
Now we're going to his track.
Yeah, that's it. And like, how will Marquez? But only the Pecco can see Marquez's data though. So when Marquez is absolutely sending it around Cota and doing what he does, Pecco can see that and learn from it. Yeah,
but we've heard from I think it was Cal Crutchlow in the past.
Yeah,
he looked at Marquez's data and it's like, no, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's like, if I rode that, I'd crash every corner.
And that's the difference. I don't know if Pecco's going to be able to take advantage of that or not, but we'll find out.
Yeah, we will. It'll be a very interesting weekend.
Very.
I think that's all we've got time for.
Yeah, I've got to go to work. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning here.
Yeah, it's very late here. The other way around is 10 p.m. But yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you for coming on the podcast. Very appreciated. Obviously, short notice as well, so very appreciated, and I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, it was great. Hopefully I can come on again in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to try and beat you all in the predictions. So
yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's all right though, because I'll get all of these right this week and win it.
Yeah, you're well ahead. You won't be able to catch up.
Thanks for that, Jack.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
All right, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
See yous.